So you've got your newsletter set up and you've even gotten consistent with your distribution, but what are you doing about your follow-up? Hi there, I'm J.C Agajanian, broker associate with the Whissel Realty Group, and today we're discussing your weekly newsletter. Hopefully it's weekly, maybe it's bi-weekly, whatever the case. The most important bit is that you've got your list organized and that you are consistent with your distribution. So what are we going to do when we actually see that there's some engagement on this newsletter? There are people that are taking the time to open and read it. Hopefully you have this information because of the analytics you're using on the back end of whatever system you're using to distribute your newsletter. But that's what we're talking about today. What is the ideal follow-up for these newsletters that most of us just kind of blindly send out and don't even look at the analytics and don't even realize what the open rate is, let alone have meaningful calls to action embedded within those newsletters. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. So first and foremost, are your newsletters segmented? What I mean by that is, do you have the same newsletter going to everyone, or are you sending some information to prospective sellers and some information that's different to prospective buyers? Or are you breaking up your list into past clients and maybe prospects? Or what are you doing with your distribution list to begin with? That's kind of a little bit next level because most people are content to just get it out every month or every week or every 2 weeks. It bears a little thought and conversation. A lot of what we ought to do as far as follow-up is concerned surrounding the newsletter is really be looking for hand raisers, right? And what we mean by hand raisers is people that are clicking a link or doing something, scanning a QR code, some sort of hoop is being jumped through to just pick up the phone and start dialing everyone that you can see through the back end of your service that they've actually read your email. Probably not the best way to go about it, not only for your useful time management, but also for the client experience. That might be a little bit weird because we want them to just naturally open it and read it without any fear that they're going to be getting phone calls left and right immediately afterwards. Really, we're focusing on hand raisers, people that have done something, taken some action to initiate genuine interest and motivation. What type of calls to action might they be responding to? Basically, we want to include some of the stuff that may seem old and standard to us, but when you are in a client's perspective, unless it's time to start thinking a little bit about selling your home or about buying a property, it's all going to be white noise anyways. You're going to ignore it because it doesn't apply to you. Only when it does apply is some of this stuff going to actually be interesting. So calls to action like a home valuation, or maybe you're putting on a seller seminar and it's an invitation to that seminar. Or maybe you've got a new loan product you want to share with your buyers, or maybe you've got some buyer tips that you want to go through with prospective home buyers. And there should be something that you're offering. And to those who might find it interesting because some event is, looming on the horizon, they're the ones who are going to click through or inquire more or do whatever it takes to get the information you're offering. And the people that are not doing anything anytime soon will see it as that same white noise that the folks we're talking about now used to in the past. So you get where we're coming from. It's the same principle with billboards out there. They're not changing the message every single week. They're just kind of putting the message there and waiting for the time of life to change for the appropriate people to then respond in kind to the messaging. So yes, the gold is there with those hand raisers, and following up with them and monitoring their activity is where our effort is going to be best spent. A little word of caution, don't be firing off too many emails. I mean, honestly, more than one a week is going to be a little bit questionable. I know it's great to be super communicative, especially if you have different items of value that you're sending out on a regular basis. But if you're sending 2, 3, or more emails in a given week, it's going to turn into just spam to them. And first of all, it might even become actual spam and not make it to their inbox. But even if it stays solid and you've got a good system that has great delivery rates, you still don't want to overwhelm your clients with that much content. They will eventually just start ignoring it and the open rate will just fall to the floor. It's just too much information. And when we speak about the type of information we are sending out, I'm not going to go into the weeds and talk about various messaging platforms and communication styles, but one great overarching concept to maintain in your newsletter distribution is that we don't want to take this newsletter and turn it into a brag reel for ourselves. We always have to remember that buyers really just care about homes and sellers really just care about buyers. And nowhere in there did realtor show up, right? So like they don't really care. They want to care about what we can do for them, but they don't honestly care about us. So us bragging about how many homes we've sold, how many listings we have live, all the success that we have, there are times and places for proof of concept and showing a seller that we have experience and actual proof that we can get the job done well. But this is not that place, and this is not that time. We are using a newsletter to offer things of value to simply get people to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm interested in that. And then we can use appropriate follow-up that is not over the top, too pushy, but not too lax and lackadaisical either. It's appropriate, measured follow-up with these people that have expressed interest in something, and then we reach out to see how we can help them. If any sort of stories of success or, great results are to be used in these newsletters, we ought to be using client success stories. We are just there helping as the guide, and the client's the actual hero, right? And so if we want to do this, that's a great way to do it. We can say, hey, so-and-so came from this situation. They didn't think they were ever going to be able to buy, and we helped them, and look, they were able to do X, Y, and Z, and now they're super happy. We were just here guiding them through the way. Some story like that would be fantastic for a newsletter, but not look at all my listings, look at how many homes I've sold, look at my list to sales ratio. That will come for another time, most likely when you're sitting in front of a seller asking them to sign a listing agreement. I am happy to chat with you any more about this or field any questions you may have about the subject. Feel free to reach out right here, and I'll talk to you soon.